Welcome back. So we were talking about the impact of light on our eyes. Light is a matter and eyes receive that matter and respond to the light in different ways. The light, if it is a reflected opaque light, then it is a pleasurable. We can see into it and we see a growth into that process. So reflected opaque light, which is pleasurable, and the source need to be accepted. That's a natural response. And we conserve, while doing this, we conserve vitality and we attain growth. This is the connection of the acceptance with the pleasure. When it is a direct light, we sense pain and we respond with rejection, and that also conserves vitality and we experience growth. Now, if it is so far it is a tendency driven aspect. Now, if we talk about the intention driven aspect, then mobile screen, which actually suppresses the pain, which should be there, which supposed to be happening in the eyes, but we don't sense any pain because it is an intentional creation that intended to suppress the pain and increase some pleasure. Whenever we suppress some pain, we morph some pleasure intentionally. Now, that we call a combination of stimulation and suppression. And whenever there is an increase in the pleasure, we tend to indulge into it. Indulging means staying with it for a longer period than the natural. Indulgence means staying with it for a longer period than the natural duration of staying together. So that indulgence means when we are indulging, that time we require more vitality, isn't it? We require more vitality to indulge. And when that happens, we actually over-engage our vitality, and that is anti-growth. Now, as you see in this particular chart, the truth, the matter, which is causing emotion, as we started with that common chart, now it is a specified chart. Eyes get squeezed when looking at light. This is the confirmation. This is not an imagination or opinion. This is the confirmation that eyes are structured not to look at the source of light. Now, the matter with idea causing emotion. What is that idea? Let's make the source of light attractive so that we stick to it. So that's the idea, and that idea created some matter which is causing an emotion, which is the indulgence. We are sticking to it, right? Now, what is the idea exactly here? If we pick up separate from the matter, if we separate that particular idea, that idea is the impact of light will not harm us. That's an assumption, absolutely. And that's where we are defying the nature, because we are not looking at the nature through its tendency. We are bringing some intention, interfering the normal experience. And that is why we question the experiential learning, because experiences can be morphed with ideas. Now, let's take another example of another sense organ, which is ear. For ears, the soft tones are acceptable. If it is a loud, then it is not acceptable. The loud sound is not acceptable by the ears. It is not enjoyable. You just check it with a baby. You just shout without any reason. You just increase the volume of your music system. When a baby is there, baby will just cover the ears. This is the natural response. That particular matter entry is not likable. That loud sound is not likable in the ears. This is a natural response. This is the natural voice of the organism. Now, if we just plot that particular aspect in this chart, then we find that ears receive sound. If it is a rhythmic, soft, then it is pleasurable, and the source needs to be accepted. If we accept, then we conserve vitality and we attain growth. If it is a noise, if it is a loud sound, then it creates pain in the ear. It creates pain in the ear, and which directs us to reject the source of the sound. Physical rejection. And while rejecting, we conserve vitality. So pain and pleasure both actually directs us to conserve vitality. It's a natural response. So when we conserve, we experience growth. Now take an intentional element here. DJ. I don't know, the full form is dance jockey or something. DJ, the party music, loud music. So it actually suppresses with some rhythm and the loudness mixing together. We suppress the pain of loud music and we stimulate some rhythmic aspect. So there is a mixture of increase of the pleasure and suppression of the pain without rejecting the source. Pain means rejecting the source. So here we are not rejecting the source. We are suppressing it with some extra pleasure. So that means it will indulge us into this. It will indulge us, and indulgence means over-engagement of vitality. Indulgence means over-engagement of vitality. And that's definitely anti-growth. If we plot that in this particular chart, then we'll find the truth or the matter is causing emotion. How? Loud sound is irritating. We need not to know rocket science to identify this. We know it. Just we need to acknowledge that this is the tendency based emotion, matter based emotion. Now matter with idea is shouting. So this is another example other than the DJ, that if I shout at someone else, at someone, he may correct. So shouting at someone to correct him. We often do that, right? Shouting at someone to correct him. So it's a shouting means that loud sound. But we consider that idea is there in our mind. So if we extract the idea that shouting at someone will correct him, that's an assumption that we have. Nobody can be corrected with just by shouting, unless that individual is mobilized to correct from inside. So this is absolutely an idea that we suffer from, that if we raise the volume, then it will be understandable further. It's an assumption. It's an idea based assumption.
Kalyan sir, I have a question here.
Sir.
So when we for example shout at someone,
Yes,
that shouting is associated with the pain and it gets rejected.
the origin
And
should be rejected, like we should discourage any shouting.
Yeah, so it should be rejected. So does this also mean that this shouting at him or her or that person, shouting on that person becomes associated with something which is painful, and it gets associated with the painful experience, and that might just trigger the person to kind of do something which is kind of moving towards correction. It might just be that. We are not assuming that it will correct him, but because it is associated with something which is painful, it might associate kind of a different it might bring a different kind of an association with that shouting, which will trigger that response within the person to not repeat the mistake, or to not kind of do some mistake. That
Do you identify that a lot of assumptions are here in this idea?
there is some kind of assumption here.
Yeah, we are
That
talking about that. We are talking about that.
So yeah,
That
the
the
assumption is that basically we are. So at this moment, what I'm assuming is that there is some kind of an association with a painful experience.
yes. So
And
so bring some specific example of justifying shouting at someone. Bring it on.
The loud voice always induces fear in the opposite side.
So fear is a
So
suppression, right? Fear cannot correct anyone, right? Can you
it may or may not.
fear? How fear can correct, ma'am? Can you
No,
explain?
in case of kids,
Uh-huh.
fear is the thing that in one way leads
Fear
them to
will
the right path.
fear will discourage or suppress the action that kids are taking. How that kid will correct? What is the meaning of correction? Not doing some unwanted, undesired action is not a correction. That's a suppression. Do we identify that? If somebody is doing a mischievous act and you are stopping that mischievous act, does it lead to correction?
that's a very interesting point.
What is the meaning of correction? Because
It's
if we don't identify the correction, we will not understand the cure. Yes, ma'am. Please go on. Nagalakshmi, ma'am.
no, I was just saying it's a 50-50 chances that it may or at times it will, at times it will not.
No, no, how it will happen? Just associate with your own experiences of being stopped to do something. How did you take that stoppage? Did you probe into for a self correction, or you felt suppressed?
No, some things that, okay, just for an example, in my own case, in my childhood, I used to, okay, when my friends were around, I was with my cousins, I used to make fun with my grandpa. So I used to ask him to jump, I used to ask him to do some weird things, and he used to happily do it for me. But along with my other friends who used to enjoy and start laughing at my grandpa for the weird things that he used to do. But this thing, my mom tried putting it into me that this is not the right way, not the right way. But like, I never listened to it because I always like my friends enjoying with me.
Mhm.
But once when I got the sticks for the kind of mischievous things that I was doing,
Mhm.
then the thing entered in my mind that it's not right. I shouldn't be doing it. That
Right.
fear of the sticks made me realize what's right and what's not right. So that's one example I remember.
No, if you see, this is actually a misinterpretation of that particular suppression and your realization. Your realization came not because of the fear or the suppression for sure. Because fear and the suppression will not lead you to realization. Realization will be coming from some other route which you are not able to identify. So we need to understand that the intention to shout at, suppose you are shouting at your child, if you clarify in your mind that I am just going to stop this act of my child for now, and it is not going to correct, then it is somewhat justifiable. If you think that by shouting that individual will correct internally and will realize that this particular act was a wrong act, it is an assumption, nothing but an assumption.
Kalyan sir, can I share one experience?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so we run a school here, and we have naturally in school we will have a lot of children who would love to play mischief, make pranks and everything.
Yes.
So, and naturally, as a school, we try to make sure that they are all disciplined and they walk in a line and, don't create a chaos and all. So, we have observed that whenever there used to be a PT master on a particular spot, the children will put their hands behind and walk in a line and everything. But the moment they realize that the PT master is not on that floor and they can see him on the ground, they used to run around and jump around and do everything that they were not supposed to, because I think they were only afraid of him. They were not convinced with the whole idea of walking in a line. So what
Yes.
we started with, that for certain, not for certain things which naturally children are going to enjoy, but certain extreme situations, what we started with was reflection. So we made them write down what they did and why we punished them, or we felt that what they were doing was not right and we are asking for a different kind of behavior. So when they started reflecting, it became part of them. So then even when the PT master was not there, certain things did not happen, because they themselves were convinced that if I do this, it is going to harm somebody or whatever. So earlier it was just a fear which was superficial in a way, till that fear element, the PT master, was existing. Once that was removed, again the behavior started prominating. So I think when you are convinced about it, then you follow it, when it becomes part of you. Otherwise the fear will not exist for long, because I think you overcome it sooner or later. This is what we have experienced, so I'm just sharing. I don't know if it's
Yes. Yes.
exactly
Yes.
relevant. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely relevant. And this is the reflection is a process of natural movement, which actually, if you suppress, then you block that natural movement. If something, as we consider as a wrongdoing, if it is a really wrongdoing, then it has got its own movement to end it. That we need to understand, though it's a very deeper level of discussion. But all in all, the suppression cannot lead to correction, that's for sure, and all the experiences are supporting this understanding. Now let's proceed with the other examples of the sense organs. The nose. The nose actually, like the fragrance, the fresh fragrance is light. It's a pleasurable experience, and we accept the origin and conserve the vitality, and growth is experienced. If it is a rotten smell, then the pain is sensed and rejection is the response, and rejecting it, we conserve vitality and we attain growth, experience growth. Right now, the intentional element is that room freshener, the chemical room freshener, which will suppress the foul smell of the room and stimulate some chemical fragrance. So it's a combination of stimulation and suppression, which will lead an organism to indulge into it. And that indulgence is nothing but another word, over engagement of vitality. And that over engagement of vitality is anti-growth. If we plot in this chart, then we find that the foul smells are irritating. If you are in a rotten space, then you feel irritated. You close your nose, right? Now, the matter with idea, the chemically suppressing of the foul smell is that objective of the idea of room freshener, using room freshener. And what is the idea that is causing emotion? Only idea, if we extract, that the foul smell will lose its impact. This is absolutely assumption, because foul smell has got its own particle which enters the nose and have the impact as it would have been having the impact when it is coming alone, like the chili. The chili, when it enters singly, the kind of impact it will have. If it is coming with other spices or other food, other taste, the impact will be same, because after entering, we disintegrate everything. The body disintegrates it, and the impacts are same as it would be for the single. So any combination, if suppressing some kind of voice of the organism, this is our assumption that it will not have an impact on our vitality or energy. Going for the next, it's very evident and primarily we talk a lot about food. Where is Momita? Momita hasn't joined. Okay, right. So the tongue, the taste. The taste is a perennial experience and very vivid, gross experience rather. The density is much higher than the light, sound and smell. So let's directly go into the taste. If it is a sweet taste, it is pleasurable. If it is pleasurable, then we accept the origin and conserve vitality and support growth. If it is an irritant, example is the chili that we have taken. It causes pain and it directs us to reject. And if we reject, then we conserve. So pleasure and pain both are directing us to conserve vitality if we listen to it. And if it is tendency based, natural. Tendency based means there is no intention behind. Now example of intentional changes. A lot of examples can be given. Mango jam was there, now spicy chaat. So there is a stimulation and suppression both. Spicy chaat means there are a lot of ingredient into it which are irritating. So we mix it with some pleasurable taste and make it something, enhanced taste, and we indulge into it. Indulgence means the duration of engagement is increased than the natural duration. So if it is increased, then we over engage our vitality and it acts anti-growth. If we plot into this, then we find the taste of chili is irritating. The matter with idea, combining chili with sweet taste so that the impact is reduced. Obviously, chemically, the impact at the entry level is reduced. But the assumption is, further assumption, this is the further idea which actually causes a lot of emotion, that chili is good for health because chili has got vitamin XYZ. These are idea-based proposition which causes emotion. Yes, I'm feeling good by having chili. It is not a physically initiated experience. It is an idea initiated experience because I was told that chili is having this kind of extra supplement which we need in the body, which was actually rejected by my body. But I am being told that it is good for you. But my body, what my body is saying, my body is saying, throw it away. Who should I listen to? My body or some thoughts by someone else? Should we go ahead with the borrowed ideas or some idea generated out of my own experience by my own body? That's the primary question that we need to ask. That what is there behind this particular experience of me? What is there behind my voice of the organism that is being indicated here? Is it a matter or somebody's idea? Going forward for the skin, then I'll take up the questions. Touch. If it is a soft touch, it is likable. If it is a soft touch, it is likable. If it is a rough touch, it is painful. So soft touch is pleasurable and to be accepted, and it will conserve vitality and which will support growth. The rough touch will cause pain and lead to rejection and conserve vitality. So pleasure and pain both are directing us to conserve vitality if we are listening to it, and it is tendency driven. Now intention driven, we have a concept came up as love bite, which is a bite. Bite is painful. Bite is painful, but if it packed with love, we consider it's a pleasurable. So it's a combination of stimulation and suppression, and we indulge into it more than what should we be indulging ourselves. So sexual intelligences through the idea is one of the primary fixation after money that Homo sapiens suffer. So indulgences will overengage us, overengage our vitality, and which will act anti-growth. Now, if we plot in this particular chart, then we find the tendency based making love, the act of sex I'm talking about, is a physical act. It happens due to the physical proximity of two congruent partners. It happens automatically, naturally it happens. We need not to worry about it. But the matter with idea is sexual thoughts. Sexual, physically, there is no sexual touch or it's nothing happening. There is no proximity. But in mind, some sexual thoughts are coming and I am stimulating my body. My body is stimulated, I am finding it's pleasurable. It's a touch oriented aspect, but idea driven. Try and understand this. Because the moment I experience something in my physiology, it's a truth for me because it is happening in my body. But the origin is coming from the idea. Origin is not coming from the matter. So we go next step, go to the next step and start saying that masturbation is healthy. It is utterly enervating. It is utterly enervating act for an individual because sexual fluid is the most complex fluid that body produces. And sex, when we equate with the hunger means the food hunger, we actually go absolutely irrational because the hunger is actually requirement of something. It's a scarcity driven requirement. And sex is always to throw out something. So throw out some excess and fulfilling of scarcity cannot be equated.
So can we connect this to the purpose of it, sir?
Yes, yes. So the purpose of the life, the growth. Actually, we'll take up this tomorrow again, the sex topic. But since Minu proposed it, the purpose of sex is a combination of physical and cognitive growth. When we connect with someone, we sense a physical growth. And we connect cognitively, we sense a cognitive growth. If we just connect the physical growth, physical connection, we know it is going to end after few minutes, after few instances. So unless there is a cognitive connection, the sex cannot give the support to the natural growth. So cognitive connection with the partner is very important to attain the natural growth, natural programmatic growth, because this connection of the physical connection is going to end. The moment you are connected, you feel connected and you sense a growth, you feel good. But the moment you are disconnected, this physical growth is gone. But if you are connected cognitively, then sense of the growth will be retained with you. Right, we can go deeper into this aspect of sex and connection of the growth. Right, any question? Because we may have to relaunch another session. So how many of you are comfortable if we relaunch another session? Because in between there were some wastage of time.
So is there some topic for today which is left or just
Yes.
for discussion?
Yes. We are left with some of the topics.
Okay.
Anyway, tomorrow
So-
we can cover, but if we are comfortable, then we can go ahead. Okay, Kekul is fine. What about other?
It's fine, Kalyan.
Can we have 10-minute break at least?
Yes. We'll have a break in between after this. Then we'll resume for another session. Shankar, are you comfortable to go ahead for another half an hour? Okay.
We can do that. Let's
Yeah,
take a
yeah.
quick break and then we can definitely go another half an hour.
Right. So let me go ahead with another 2 minutes. After that, we'll take a break. and then we'll resume again for another half an hour session. So all in all, we are actually criticizing idea. Have you observed? As if we are criticizing idea that the exclusive capability that we have, generating ideas. So actually at the deeper level, we are not criticizing idea. This idea of understanding idea also itself is an idea. So we are actually finding this thing absolutely mapping with the growth of the cognition. So the future human will be able to identify the flaws of the intention. That is the next level of the intention, where we identify the flaws of intention in terms of the conservation of vitality. So that's what is the proposed future human. And if we identify this aspect, in terms of the voice of the organism, if we identify and understand these 6 terms, satiation is very much important for the growth. And satiation, what is the meaning of satiation? If we are feeling attracted towards something which is natural, matter, the tendency based aspect, then we must satiate ourselves. We should not block that. If we block, then we compromise with our growth. This satiation is very much important. If we do not satiate ourselves, that amounts to sacrifice. Sacrifice will compromised growth. In Pure Nature Cure, we don't promote sacrifices. We need to understand what is the self growth behind my initiative or behind my engagement. If we are clear about that, there is no question of sacrifice at all. And we need to be very careful about the stimulation. Artificially, when we stimulate a pleasure with the intention, that's where the over engagement, all these red words are actually over engagement of vitality. So this red words, suppression. If we suppress a pain without rejecting the origin, if we suppress, I repeat this, if we suppress a pain without rejecting the origin, then we compromise the conservation of vitality. Right? Then what is the way out? Tomorrow we'll go detail into that, but definitely slowing down. Whenever we feel a craving to satiate ourselves or feel attracted towards something, an urgency if we sense, definitely it's a stimulation we need to identify. So we need to slow down. We need to slow down. Okay, I'll go for it. Let me just think, see, observe it. So that slowing down will lead us to conserve vitality. And how we can confirm that we are conserving well? By observing the symmetry or a pattern in our existence. If we can achieve continuously patterns in our, so we'll understand what is this pattern exactly, the symmetry in the next topic. So the law of unity. If we support the law of unity, if we feel the interconnectedness with all the organism around and with all the entities around, we feel connected, that time we can be rest assured that the conservation is being done. So symmetry cannot be imposed. It should emerge out of the conservation. That's what is the proposal. The next topic is the law of unity, which we'll take up after we resume. Right? We'll take the questions after we resume. We'll take 10 minutes break. Now it is, I think, 5:45. 5:55 we'll start. So we'll initiate the session by 5:50. Thank you.